Dicey. Okay, well, we'll keep trying. One more experiment. David.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you, Jack. And the first thing I want to clarify is, being from the Annapolis Valley, we want to make sure that those vegetables are grown in Nova Scotia. So I get that straight. That's a bonus, Howard. I wasn't expecting you to be supporting local agriculture, but that's
I always support it, David.
that was in jest.
Buy local.
In 2001, I was first appointed Minister of Environment in this province, and I got to meet federal, provincial, territorial colleagues, and that's when I really started to see the impacts of climate change. And I came back, and for those of you who have heard me speak before, I'm going to say it again, I came back convinced that the #1 challenge that we are faced with today globally is climate change. Because you know what, folks? We can solve hunger, we can eliminate poverty, we can find a cure for cancer, but it's not going to matter unless we can address climate change. Because without a hospitable climate, none of that's going to matter anymore. So it was interesting that in 2001, when I started off as minister, in 2009, and it's almost like the cycle was complete, on January the 16th, I had the great honor of introducing our climate change action plan with our 68 actions featuring energy efficiency, conservation, renewables, cleaner fuels, and adaptation for the sins that we've already committed as a species over the last 50 years as they catch up with us. This is a roadmap with exciting possibilities for Nova Scotians, laying out what has already been done, what the goals are, and what has yet to be done with time frames.
Thanks, David. So those are the introductory remarks. We're now going to move on to the questions. The first opportunity to respond will go to Brendan, and then we'll rotate from there. And Brendan, just so you know,
I was not sure.
the questions are all in the format of if elected. So, okay. But you can respond. Everyone can respond.
Sure.
Okay. So the first question. So, let me feeding back there. Can everyone hear me? If I just okay. So, no. Not next door. Okay. Okay, all right. With Mike it is. Studies at all levels tell us that the most cost-effective way to reduce electricity demand is through public energy efficiency programs. Right now, Nova Scotia's electrical efficiency programs are in the hands of Nova Scotia Power. A year ago, the Wheeler study recommended that the legislature establish an independent agency to promote energy efficiency. Despite widespread political and public support at the time, nothing has happened. If elected, will your government act immediately to appoint an independent energy efficiency administrator during the next sitting of the legislature? Brendan.
Thank you very much. Yes, we do need an electrical efficiency agency, and I think along with that we have to give the Utility Review Board a better mandate to look at affordability for Nova Scotians and also how Nova Scotia Power plans or strategizes to get us into renewable energies. I think also it should be combined in with feed-in tariffs so that we can get guaranteed prices for renewable energy producers in the province. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that would be the first part of my answer. I'm sorry, maybe I can ask for a clarification. Is this the public energy efficiency program that was introduced by Nova Scotia Power?
Demand-side management.
Demand-side management? Okay, thank you. Yes, absolutely. And the Liberal government would support it being obviously an independent agency, not one managed by Nova Scotia Power. We see an important role potentially for a body such as this to perhaps assist and promote in the programs that will assist homeowners in converting. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. We've pushed on this from the very beginning. I've asked Minister Holbert at least on 2 occasions, I think, in the legislature, why it is that this independent agency has not been established, and that report has been with the minister for some time. It hasn't been acted on. It's not obvious why it hasn't been acted on. Different dates have been promised for implementation of it, and it just hasn't occurred. So clearly, we would act on it. It's something we have promised and indeed would move on.
Yes, thank you, and absolutely, the demand-side management is absolutely crucial in curbing our greenhouse gas emissions. The first thing you've got to do is stop growing them, and actually it was the Ecology Action Centre that came and spoke at Acadia and talked about energy efficiency and conservation as being the #1 ways of accomplishing this, the most cost-efficient ways of accomplishing this, and this was something that was in the drafting form before the House was defeated some 22 days ago.
All right.
And now it's a free-for-all.
Okay, I want to point out something. In 1992, the Utility and Review Board held hearings on demand-side management. Demand-side management is the technical term for getting consumers to use less electricity. At that time, I was acting for the Ecology Action Centre in those hearings, and we pushed Nova Scotia Power to adopt extensive demand-side management programs, and let me tell you, they resisted all the way along. And the fact that a decade or so later, more than a decade later, we're actually able to get Nova Scotia Power to be interested in that is an amazing change. And finally, the Utility and Review Board is interested in that, but an essential component of having people reduce their electricity use is that good systems have to be devised, and they have to be sold to the public, and they have to be sold by an independent agency, because there is that resistance in the monopoly electricity provider. And naturally enough, as a private entity, they make profit. The more electricity they sell, the more profit they make. They're not so interested in selling less of their product. So demand-side management.
Yes, we know that the only thing Nova Scotian about Nova Scotia Power is its name. What we need is a government that's willing to stand up to them. We need a government that will look out for Nova Scotians and force Nova Scotia Power. With feed-in tariffs, Nova Scotia Power could become the operator, and along with the other 53 properties they own to generate power, could also be an operator and generator. And with feed-in tariffs, we set a regulated price so that these renewable energy producers, investors, perhaps our own municipalities that want to go and get a loan with guaranteed loans could do this. So why hasn't the government done this?
We're absolutely on side with feed-in tariffs, by the way.
If I may as well, you just spoke of looking for a government to stand up to Nova Scotia Power, and let me tell you, Stephen MacNeill is one leader who is prepared to do so, and Stephen MacNeill in the Liberal plan has said that a Liberal government will require the URB, when it is considering rate applications, to consider both reliability of the service to Nova Scotians and whether it's in the best interest of Nova Scotians. At the present time, the URB considers financial criteria solely, and I must say that reliability and in the best interest of Nova Scotians would be an important consideration to have on the table at the URB. And I'm proud to say that Stephen MacNeill is the only leader who has spoken in this campaign on those aspects. Thank you.
I would just say this is about conservation. This is a central part of the Climate Change Action Plan. This is in launch. The steps are being taken to implement this, and we're not going to get there without having demand-side management firmly in place, and we're looking forward to seeing that happen.
How long does it take to establish, or should it take to establish an independent regulator or an independent energy efficiency administration?
This required a legislative change. We were advised of that in the spring, and that's why it has to be done by a bill in the legislature.
But we're waiting for that bill.
Okay, we'll move on to question 2, and Jane, you'll be starting this one off. Renovating a home for energy efficiency is expensive, and most low-income earners can't afford home energy retrofits or avail themselves of low-interest loans or municipal tax levies or other incentive programs. How would your government